Checking for SSL forms a major part in any infrastructure or web application assessment, and also it's not done in depth in most of the assessments, mainly because you need to run like multiple tools, and also you need to do like various manual checks to do a very thorough review of an SSL service. This talk is about a tool that I have written to automate majority of the services, so majority of the checks, which mainly integrates a lot of other tools, and also it does like a lot of manual checks. Okay, let's talk about like Panspermia toolkit, because SSL Auditor is part of Panspermia toolkit. What's Panspermia? Panspermia means like life exists everywhere across the universe, and it is transferred from one planet to other planet, or one entity to other entity, like moons or asteroids or comets, through other entities like comets or asteroids. And how is this related to this talk is where when we talk about like IT, there are like multiple worlds, which are like, for example, networking is a different world, whereas like database is a different world, and you have something like virtualization, and then you have like operating systems, you have application. So all these are like different worlds, and this Panspermia toolkit has like, I'm still like developing it, okay, has like a tool to tackle the issues in each of these worlds. And all these pictures are like various planets that might have life in them. So we don't know, they're all few light years away, so we are not that advanced to even like detect life 100%. Let's go ahead with SSL Auditor, which is also called like Opabinia. Okay, why Opabinia? What's the meaning of the name? Opabinia is one of the buggish scale creatures that lived around 500 million years ago, and it has 5 eyes, mainly to escape from danger. There used to be a big predator called Anomalicaris. It needs to escape from Anomalicaris to survive, and also it can find food much easier with like 5 eyes. And the other thing that Opabinia has is a long proboscis, which it can use to fetch like foods which are difficult to reach. How is this related to my talk? My tool has like 5 modules to check for various issues on the services, so which relate to the 5 eyes of Opabinia. And the input module is very flexible to accept input from multiple sources, so which relates to the long proboscis. Let's have an overview. Okay, this is a complete picture of my tool, like the checks it does and the various options it has. At present, it does around 30 checks on SSL and RDP services. Let's go into each of these components. Okay, the first component is the input modules and the execution modules. My tool accepts like 4 different sources of input. One is from on the interface itself, so you can add your IP or host on the interface and it accepts that. The second option is a range, which you can see on the top. It accepts like a start IP, and then you can specify the end IP, and it generates the entire list for you. The third option is IP list file. There are multiple ways it will read those IPs. You can separate an IP or host name and the port using colon or space or comma. So it accepts CSV files. And the other option is it does sanitization, so you don't need to have like a very strict, okay, this particular form of like URL, or it does like, it will just remove HTTP and all those kind of prefixes and suffixes. And the fourth option is a nmap XML file, which accepts like multiple ports. You can just specify, okay, grab all the IPs or hosts with this specific port open. And now let's come to the execution options. There are a few options which are quite important. The first one is a development environment, which since like sometimes you might be testing SSL services in a development environment, and you don't want to flag like self-signed certificates or untrusted certificates. So these options ignores 4 of the checks, which is like revocation lists, self-signed, wildcard certificate, and trusted certificates. So and the other option in the tool is automated timers. So when the tool identifies a timeout or an error, it increases time to 2x, and then if it still gets the same error or timeout, it pushes it to 5x before it moves to the next module. And we'll be looking at autosave options in the further slides. And with respect to the scan speed, there is an option to increase or decrease the scan speed. It's mainly useful when you are running the tool against a local service or a remote service. Mainly, like if it is like going through the internet, probably it might be like slow, so you don't want the tool to time out like very fast, so you can just reduce the time. Let's now look at the various cipher checks that the tool does. Like the tool checks for the various like protocols that are supported by the SSL service, and also it does check for the various ciphers that are supported by each of those protocols, and then it lists the preferred ciphers for each of the protocols. So, and it flags if it finds SSL version 2 or any of the weak ciphers enabled. And this is a sample report, and these are the various fields in the report. Now let's look at certificate checks. These are like some of the certificate checks the tool does for you. So mainly it does check for various issues on the certificate itself, as well as it checks for various issues on the configuration of the SSL service. Some of them can be like the self-signed, validity, or wildcard certificates, or weak crypto stuff like weak RSA keys or weak signing algorithms. And the various things related to configuration include like beast attack or compression, which leads to crime, and session resumption and security negotiation. Now let's look at web service. Why did I include like web service checks in an SSL tool? It's quite important because if you look at the modern web servers, they support a lot of additional features. Say for example like HFTS header, which greatly improves the security of an SSL service. So it's very important to have these headers in place to have a very strong SSL. So this module checks for various headers on the SSL service. It also checks for various tools like cookie flags and cache settings, but these are on the index page. It's not a web app scanner, so it will not go inside the web pages. So, and it also checks for various disclosure through web server headers. Now let's look at the other module, which is RDP service. RDP service supports like 3 protocols. So this module checks for the support of like each of these protocols. One is like Red SSP, SSL, and native RDP. And if SSL is enabled, it will check for self-signed certificates and weak ciphers. If native RDP is enabled, it will check for the security level as well as like the cipher supported by the service. And this is another module which checks for mainly the validity of the certificate, and it gives like a different coloring for if it is like expiring or expired. It's mainly focused towards administrators. And this is like the report structure, which is like it does like 2 reports. One is like validity and the audit report. Audit report is a general one which gives like more detailed information about the SSL service, and the validity report is just like a table which gives like which is expired or expiring or it's fine. And yeah, maybe I think like we are running out of time, so we'll skip the demo. And I'm like very thankful to Dave and also to my friends for helping me out with the feedback with respect to the tool and the presentation. And yeah, the tool can be downloaded from my website, and also the presentation is available on my website, and the demos are available on YouTube. And yeah, sorry.